Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of The Big Picture.
A very good evening and welcome to this episode of The Big Picture.
This episode of The Big Picture.
My name is John Alan Namu.
Tom Mukhwana.
Justin Wanda.
Together every week, every Monday from about 6 p.m. we present a podcast called The Big Picture.
Could end before Friday, because...
Do you think when the world ends, it'll write the end in the sky?
It
It would be so fun if it's like a giant movie.
or like it just needs to black like
Yes,
a cartoon.
yes.
Media houses need to side with the government because how else will they know that our president was a chicken seller and that we have this amazing Matatu investment program that is going all the way to Rongai. Na itafika Rongai, ifike Ngong, ifike Tao, ipite Westi.
Unfortunately, the people who you call cartels, sometimes they sit next to you in the Senate. So, yeah, but there needs to be
I'll tell you, that is not a correct statement. The Senate, Parliament is powerless.
Is it?
I believe in creation of wealth. In religious matters, I'm just a Catholic. I don't belong to that whatever you are calling it. I'm a Catholic. I believe in the social Catholic of the social doctrine of the Catholic Church.
Tusimame kwa wimbo wa mapambano. Kupigwa na kupokonywa maisha.
Everyone is so eager to chime in. I love this.
Ukweli ni kwamba this constitution tulisukumiwa na nguvu. Wakati tulikuwa nasema kwamba hatujatosheka kwa ile mambo na constitution, wale matajiri na corrupt people in the government walisema kwamba hiyo mambo tutakuja kutekeleza baadaye. Wacha tupitishe saa hii, after baadaye tutakuja kutekeleza hiyo mambo mnalalamikia. In real sense, kama ingekuwa uwezo wangu, a governor hangekuwa CEO wa county. Kwa sababu hao ndio wameleta corruption, na katika kazi wanaongea siasa, mpaka imefika saa hii wafanyakazi katika counties wanaongea politics in the office. Hawazungumzi mambo ya kazi. Inatakana a technocrat awe CEO wa county.
The other thing, Senator, I've realized, you've talked so much about, an independent treasury. But importantly, you've not at least addressed the question of the disparity of, how wealth is distributed in the country. I don't believe in redistribution. I believe in production of wealth. There's nothing to redistribute. Today, if you begin redistributing, I don't believe. I believe in creation of wealth. I believe in creation of wealth. In historical injustices alone, other thing. It will not put more food. It will not expand the economy of Kenya.
Land reform.
It will not expand. In fact, we should get people off land. We should build industry. We should industrialize. Go to Europe. We need factory jobs. That's why today, somebody will sell. Right now, they're recruiting policemen. Parents are selling land to go and buy a job for their children as a policemen and military men. I'm telling you, we must reframe, we must decolonize our minds. We must build factories. I'm telling you. The question of land, if you guys here, if you are given land to go and toil on that land, you're not going to go. But if we build a factory here and there are factory jobs, you are going to take up those jobs. Right? Agriculture in any serious country, agriculture is for production of food, not for sustenance, not for being a backbone of the economy. What we need to do, if people stall, we punish them. We do what we can do, but that is not the salvation of this country. The salvation of this country is in how do we create new wealth.
I do not think that the Constitution is supposed to be a vague document, and I do not think that it is the ultimate solution to our problems. At the movement, we call it a tactical stopover, because we are headed to an absolute liberation and delinking from these neoliberal forces that hold us to date. We know that the economy of Kenya is not independent of IMF and World Bank. Look at what happened in 2024. They imposed a bill on us that Parliament had to pass, even if the whole country said no.
If you remember the days when, at budget time, goods could disappear from the shelves, and then what happened? After the budget after the finance bill is read, they came back with new prices.
I am the one who went to court in 2018 and challenged that fact. And the court declared that the finance bill must be debated. That's how it came up. And when it came up, today you saw what happened when people began understanding what is happening. The Constitution required it that the finance, all bills must be debated. So let us look at what supports us. And I'm telling you, even if we take that land and cut it into parcels, and we don't industrialize this country, 3 generations down the line, the entire country will be one slum. How many people are living in London today? And what's the size of London? How many people are living in Nairobi today? What's the size of Nairobi? Let us urbanize this country. Let us industrialize this country. I'm telling you, right now I've done an audit. I've done an audit in my county, a fraud audit, not even a forensic audit, a fraud audit. And it established that in the 2022-2023 budget, 5.2 billion shillings was stolen out of a budget of 8.6. Where is the British there? Where is neocolonialism in that? Where are the Americans there? Let us deal with the devils we are.
Let's take a few more questions.
We are the problem, and we must govern this country with a balance sheet, profit and loss balance sheet.
Let's get to the question. Let's get to another question.
Let me finalize as I give.
Okay, briefly.
Okay, sawa. Let me give time, but I'll find you.
Sawa.
Oh, okay.
My question is, Senator, you talked about converting natural resources into wealth, and you also talked about richness and development. So these are all abstract terms. I'd like a concrete perspective on what wealth and richness or development looks like for you.
First of all, we must realize the concept of a developmental state. If you have heard of it, a developmental state whereby taxes are pulled together. And we had that model. We had that model at independence. That's the model that the Asian tigers have used, whereby you pull resources because individually you are too poor to do anything of meaningful. So you pull resources together, you invest in an industry or in a sector, and you give the management of that particular product to the best people you have. So our parastatals today have failed to a concept of the developmental state, whereby you pulled resources and invested in this sector, in a parastatal in this sector, in that sector, because the local people did not have the capacity to invest in that sector and create wealth. But the mistake we made right from Jomo Kenyatta is that we began giving the management of these parastatals to cronies. Today, go to any board of a county parastatal. You'll find that the people who are there are people who ran in the elections and maybe failed, and they ran in the president's party, or they are relatives of the president, or friends of the president, and other powerful people. And those people have got no capacity to run those institutions. So one of the first things I'll have to do here is that, and I've gone to court, I've litigated in the High Court, I've litigated in the Court of Appeal, and gotten orders that parastatal boards must be competitively filled. But the people in power have rejected that. And so one of the biggest hurdles we have is with the management of the economy. So I want to get the right people managing the economy. You want to sit on the board of Kenya Airways, my friend. You'll do an interview and convince a panel of experts on how you, in your 3 years, you are going to move Kenya Airways from point A to point B. Not move it from point B to point A. So that will be one of the key factors will be that. Number 2, we'll have to distinguish between ownership and management. My own experience growing up in Western Kenya, when Mumias Sugar was Mumias Sugar. Mumias Sugar was owned by the Kenyan state, but it was managed by a British company called Booker Tet. And Mumias Sugar was thriving. Then they said they want to privatize. And grabbed that thing in our local version of the oligarchs. They grabbed that asset and they just looted it to the ground. So we're also going to look at the question of management seriously. Like I've just spoken about Kenya Pipeline. I gave an example that Kenya Pipeline as an industry, for me, if I was president, I would be thinking of how do I get Kenya Pipeline into Goma so that Kenyans can dominate the hydrocarbon in market, distributing of hydrocarbons. That way, and not what they are trying to do now, to sell it to themselves.
We're almost an hour and a half in, Senator. I think we need one more.
So for me, my idea of development will be that we need to quantify and count, like the Chinese have done, how many people at the end of the year have you taken out of poverty? What are the comparative advantages of the various regions we have? If we have got minerals, what are the mineral maps do we have? How do we extract those minerals to benefit the common good? But ultimately, the market will not be the one controlling the country it's controlling today. Political action will control the country. Market determinism, I don't believe in it. Today, look at our banks. They are Shylocks. The money in the bank belongs to Kenyans, but to borrow that money, you can hardly borrow that money and grow wealth in this country. We must address the question of interest rates. We must get interest rates that can allow you to borrow and invest and grow your economy.
Great. Brilliant, Senator.
Depth meets humor. Merry Christmas and a very happy new year from wherever you're watching us. Think of this episode as a big picture wrapped, where we put everything that has happened in the year 2025 in good perspective, very briefly and in quick fire, so you get to know what happened in Kenya and the region in general this year.
Having sherehe over Sharia is crazy. Like you can't have people give up their sherehe to participate in Sharia. Surely, give people a break. Also, my three key themes that have stood out for me throughout this year. I think the first one, mine are just emotional rants. They're not tied to anything. The first one is E Mungu, which is a warning from the opening of our national anthem. You know, people usually sing the national anthem as E Mungu nguvu yetu, like it's encouraging. It's like, no, it's E Mungu nguvu yetu, like iko, that's like the energy. Yeah, that's the energy that the national anthem is giving us. And I think we should start reconfiguring it for the times, because this year has been a very difficult emotional year, like especially if you're chronically online. If you never put your phone down, you have kind of a complex with your arm because you just want to keep catching up with whatever is going on. This has been a very, very gruesome year to keep up with Kenyan news, Kenyan politics, even just the day-to-days of like how the economy affects your life. We probably need like a mental health wellness group for the entire country. We need to just like, not the entire country, politicians excluded, but like everyday Kenyans we need like a very giant hall just to like get our emotions out, our frustrations. We can even have like certain kinds of events. We can have like an axe throwing activity. We can have like a bottle breaking thing, just like so people can really, like we need to get rid of the emotions that we've had this year and all the emotional turmoil. We need some kind of collective therapy. It's been a very difficult 2 years back to back, but this year just still advocating for the same things that really, really shattered a lot of people last year. It just makes you feel even more hopeless. It's like the bad people are winning, man. That you can't just shake the feeling that it's not just us. It's in Tanzania, it's in Uganda, it's across Africa. We even saw like right now in Nigeria, there are kids being kidnapped and like being yanked off from school, and they're being held by terrorists. Their parents are being asked to pay ransom. In South Africa, their GBV rates are absolutely horrifying. And we have actually something good happened to Zimbabwe, so maybe they can share us good energy with us. Their farming is doing well, so I really hope like people who are doing well in certain aspects could send us their good energy, and then we can ship like some bad energy which they can throw into the ocean for us maybe. The second thing that stood out for me, like a key theme for me this year, has been community. as much as a lot of things fractured, especially with the Kenyan news, Kenyans have held each other together. We've seen for all this. Unfortunately, when we don't have structural reform or structural goodwill, so many people have to depend on each other, and Kenyans have really come through. Last year, it was after the protests and all these people were injured, Hanifa and like the collective people came together and like made sure that there's anyone who's in hospital is not being held there or like suffering or anything like that. But this year we saw Kaluma's story where the community came together to actually make sure that his dad was taken care of, he had the resources that he needs, but it shouldn't take such a dire situation. We saw with the cancer patients, a lot of people made noise to make sure that SHA is restructured. Apparently the AI at SHA also works with physical files, which is something, it's just blowing my mind, because the report was filed as like physical files, and like the people who are stealing from SHA, that information should be able to pop up automatically, but apparently the printer is also there. Like there's a printer for AI that surprisingly came from the, from the Ministry of Health, with the files of like, these are the people who are investigating. I don't know where that investigation has gone.
Documents?
AI reads, but does it print?
Yours doesn't?
AI is is it like a physical medium? Am I getting lost? Do I not know what AI is? Oh, maybe it's like putting the artificial intelligence, not real. So that really, like people coming together online, on the ground, in their families, all these different spaces, and making sure that we collectively figure out how to change, how to protect each other from goons, how to, like all these things are aspects of community, and it really, really showed up this year. So that was really cool. Kenyans keep going. And even showing up for Tanzanians, like making sure that the information that they needed out, and like protecting even the people who say like, please don't, but like, please share, this is a detail. That is an aspect of community. Honestly, Nyerere would be so proud of us. But the last thing I'll say is another emotion that I'm really feeling is we're in a lesson. It's a lifelong lesson. We're in the school of life, and unfortunately, this school of life, we are in it, but we've been locked in with like those giant padlocks where we have to figure out how to graduate, and we have to take each other wherever it is we're going. It's a difficult journey, but I feel like as a Kenyan, this school of life, we have a school bus, but the school bus is a matatu, bro. And the driver is corruption, and they're just doing whatever it is that they want. They're on the wrong side of the road. They're endangering everyone's lives. We are all upset about how recklessly our lives are being handled. But also, we only feel like they're changing, like the only way we can change the conductor or like someone who can get us out of here is every 5 years. So it feels very restrictive. We haven't, and in this matatu we're in, we don't even have a way to stop at Viewpoint, because if you stop there, it's just affordable housing now. Like that's what's blocking the view. And even if you need help, you need help with healthcare. If we get into some kind of accident, we're all afraid because SHA is not working. And the driver the driver is corruption. They'll ask for a kickback before they help you. So we are very, if Kenya was a book, if the entire, if the whole life that we've lived in Kenya in 2020-25, at least if you're like a regular person, the life of a Kenyan in 2025, if it was a book, the book title would be like, sasa huku ni wapi? Because our collective conscience is kind of growing, but we are in there, it's very dark, and the person we are expecting to light it is Kenya Power.
Load shedding.
Yes, it feels very hopeless, but we'll find that switch. We will collectively wake up and we'll figure it out. So.
Hopefully we find that switch and we take over the mat. Because
absolutely, we will get a new driver and that's it.
Yeah, man. But Hussein, we'll let you have the last word on this one.
Yeah, I think the last 2 years, as Justina said, have been tough. We hope that 2026 will be better, but with elections, coming around the corner, there's every chance that it will even be tougher than the last 2 years. So for me, it's, to ask Kenyans to prepare themselves. Elections are coming up, and 2026 is where the year before is where all the stealing of elections, ID cards, and what everything is done. So let us be very, very, very cautious. If you look at the history of Kenya, second-term elections have always been hotly contested. There have been violence, there have been killings, whether it's during Moi's time. I think we had the tribal clashes during the second term. Whether it's Kibaki, the evening swearing in, the clashes after elections, we saw it. During Uhuru's time, the nullified elections, the repeat election, it was during the second term. So this is a second term. And this second term will be won and lost in 2026. So Kenyans, be ready, prepare to protect your vote, prepare to choose the right leaders, and particularly for Gen Zs, please go and register as a voter.
June 25th is obviously incredibly important to this country. It's as important, in my view, as our Independence Day. It's as important in that because, what an Independence Day is the confirmation that a social contract between the people who are being governed by and the government is signed upon, and it's one of consent, right? And I've seen people talk about the social contract between Kenya. You're just so embittered and so jaded by what happens that you're unable to see the beauty in the world. Yeah.
Most of these people should be resigning and just walking straight to committee.
Sahi ni wakati wa kufocus,
You
by
need
the way.
to lock it.
Lock the hell in.
And our question was, journalism is not a real career or a job. Journalism, you mean udaku? Our aunties and Edgar Obare do it best. Democratize credibility. Every platform and watchman is a source of information. So credibility for who? Just slap allegedly and a logo on any claim and call it journalism.
What Moshiri Mike encouraged a number of people to do last year during the finance bill, in translating the summary of the finance bill into different languages, was a rebellion against the running order of things, against the status quo. In that, people who weren't engaging with the numbers, with the hard facts, with the evidence, and were just being told, vote for this, don't vote for that, were now engaging directly. So language as a construct is crucially important in how we present our thoughts, how we share our ideas, and how going forward we will rebuild a society in this country. So if you want to consider how news should be important, consider language first. Consider how you think about things and who you present those thoughts to, right? I think I'll stop there. I'll come back a little later, but Justine, you can pick up from there.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tom.
Me, yeah.
Yeah.
My take is a lot of the sources that we see on TV don't have to be on TV. I'll give you a quick example of one thing that happened internally. I asked for permission before giving this story, by the way. I'm Dosi. But
Allegedly.
So allegedly, the government spokesperson, Isaac Moura, he has a lot of names in these streets. He approached Africa Uncensored and the Big Picture, this program specifically, and asked to come to the show. That was right before June 25th, right before the Mandamanos for this year picked up. And I remember us having a discussion and Justine and I getting on a call for 1 full hour. And my take was that let's get him on the show. Let's grill him. Let's pull down his pants and expose him. You understand? The hard questions make him look stupid on television. Journalists are supposed to ask hard questions. Indio. Justine's stance was, let's not have this guy on the show. And she had a very interesting point to prove. She said, guys, this guy is not going to tell us anything important or anything new. He's basically garbage in, garbage out. He says what the government wants him to say. At that time, I think we were having a discussion about the finance bill, and the conversation was meant to be intellectual and smart, and he gives us reasons why the government is doing X, Y, Z. But every single time this gentleman gets on TV, he says nothing important. It just regurgitates the government's narratives. But what do you see every morning at 7 o'clock when you wake up and turn on the TV? You see him on TV. You see other folks who defend terrible, terrible things on television. I'm going to do a quick poll here. Do you guys want to see 2 people from government and 2 people from our side on TV every morning? Why is that? Let's listen to her. You said yes.
See both sides on TV because
Yeah.
of the danger of a single story.
There is that. But my thing is that every time somebody gets on TV, we have a Charles Owino moment where he says Boniface Karuki deserved to be shot. That's the problem with that. I think the truth and the government stance, you don't need as a journalist to stand equidistant from both. You don't need to be in the middle. Journalism is meant to be on the side of the people at all times. That's the hill I'm going to die on. So every person you see on TV is subtly shaping your opinion on issues all the time. We didn't have Isaac Maura on our show because he wasn't going to say anything important. He was going to justify the murder of people. He was going to say that more people need to be murdered, and he was going to say probably something even worse, even insult one of us. But every person that you... Another good example, you all saw documentaries on June 25th, but there are certain documentaries that didn't resonate much, specifically because they didn't have people like you and I. They had 5 people from the government and 2 folks from one side, and the entirety of the documentary was the government saying what it wants to say throughout. So every time John Allen asks us to go to the field, we always consider that which person are we going to have on our documentary? What are they going to say? Because that's extremely important. Journalism doesn't have to be equidistant from the right or the left. It should always and always be on the side of the people at all times. So yes, I hope you come out of this thinking about everyone you see on television every 7 o'clock in the morning. And the reason Mic Check podcast and all these podcasts are big is because they have people like you and I on the pod, and they represent our voices. On television, not so much. Podcasts are taking over specifically because we have clean people on television, and they always have certain talking points. But those people come at a certain price. Most of the times, it's at the cost of the truth. Yeah, that's my take.
I am happy to be here. It's raining in Nairobi, so if you're out there, take care of yourself, and I hope you had a really good Mother's Day.
Why does that sound like it? Like somewhere in there, there's some bile for our.
No, me, I've not said anything.
No, I'm just saying.
Dimples excluded. I have not said anything.
No. That's what you're looking for. Yeah. That's the real thing. And
I'm Tom Ukwana. I am a reporter for Uncensored.
That's all you are, Tom.
That's all I am. That's all I do.
You're a human being. It doesn't make us look like we're just slave masters. But today on the podcast, we have yet another great guest. Hanifa Adan, the unstoppable, unflappable, indefatigable, indomitable, right? Hanifa Adan, unapologetic truth teller, writer, activist, journalist. And her article, it's called The Lie We Grew Up With, Your Tomorrow's Leaders. The Lie We Grew Up With, Your Tomorrow's Leaders. It's gone viral, and it has elicited quite a number of reactions, not least from the person who not dominated. He took just a bit of, it was hardly a paragraph.
Yeah.
The Kotu Secretary General Francis Atwoli flew off the handle at Hanifa Adan, and I've been following what's been happening on your X and the kind of threats that you've been getting. First of all, Pole Sana, but we'll be just discussing that and many, many other things. But first of all, welcome to the show, Hanifa.
Thank you for having me. I've been seeing you guys a lot, so it's good to be here.
Hey man, it's been hard. It's been hard to get you. You have no idea how many times people have suggested Hanifa napiga simu, then sijui uko wapi, mara uko wapi, but I'm glad that we have you on set today. And we've got lots of stuff to discuss, guys. It's been a bit of a mixed week, right? Not least with your article and the kind of things that it's elicited. And so short brief on Hanifa's article. She's discussing the premise that, Kenya's leaders today are not the leaders that they ought to be. And you'll stop me if I'm wrong. That the youth occupy a very, very small part of Kenyan leadership. And this is not just political leadership. This is leadership in many, many facets of public life. And that the promise, you are tomorrow's leaders, has been instrumentalized to ensure, I think you call it pacification, right? Pacifying young people, to ensure that they never really question, they never really ask for your rights. But you have a history in asking and demanding actually those rights, a very long and storied history. And what this has touched off for our audiences who are watching and perhaps don't have context is quite a bit of a debate, not just between Hanifa and the Kotu Secretary General, Francis Atoli, who's been at the helm for 24 years. Tom, you are 1 year old when Francis Atoli became the Secretary General. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
That's
It's
absolutely
just mind-boggling.
crazy.
Yes.
You know, but it's not just between you, Hanifa, and Atwoli. It's between Atwoli and I've seen Martha Karua. Previously, prior to your article, I saw Kivutha Kibwana also chiming in and talking about this whole retirement thing, like, when are you going to retire?
Yeah.
And now, due to the petition that you've launched, let me just look at the numbers here. 11,891 people have signed a petition.
In 1 day.
In 1 day.
It was at 5,000 last night.
Yeah, it was
5,500. Absolutely insane, Hanifa. That if this is not active citizenship, if this is not public organizing, I really don't know what is. Hanifa, my first and perhaps only question for this first passage is, like, what motivated you to write about this misnomer of the youth being tomorrow's leaders? And why did you use the example of Francis Atwoli? Yeah.
Well, first things first, I think we need to debunk this "we are the leaders of tomorrow" narrative. And we ask ourselves serious questions. When is tomorrow? Who built this tomorrow? What is this tomorrow? So we are hearing tomorrow. When is this tomorrow? I think for us, tomorrow was portrayed, the idea of tomorrow was portrayed last year during the Gen Z protests. You see, leaders emerged. Everyone was a leader, doing things in their own capacity from wherever they could. So I think they're intentionally telling us this: you are the leaders of tomorrow, so that, you know, we are comfortable. They are being pacified. So it's become just a slogan. How is it, why is it a tomorrow when tomorrow is here, by the way? And the leaders you said are the leaders of tomorrow are jobless, wandering around, hopelessly, roaming around this country. And the people who said that are 75 years old and they're at the helm of powerful institutions for decades. So we need to debunk that tomorrow narrative. When is tomorrow for us?
When is tomorrow? And that's, I like the question, but I also liked the examples that you gave.
Yeah.
That she was 12 years old when you first heard the expression, "we are leaders of tomorrow." Well, I can tell you, I'm no longer a young person, but I was told the same thing. And I actually remember when we were told this. This was now during...
We are leaders of tomorrow.
Justine, this is your first and only warning.
Yes.
Ndio mimi ni mzee lakini must we advertise? Right?
But on your leaders of tomorrow.
Anyway, yes, I was told this very early in our time. And the interesting thing about it is that every time I looked up to who those leaders of today were, at that time, people in the frame were like William Ole Ntimama, of course, Daniel Arap Moi, Nicholas Biwott, all of these guys in their mid-40s, going into the 50s and their 60s. And, you know, being told that we were leaders of tomorrow. But when I looked at the opposition as well, some of the people at the front were also quite, you know, advanced in the years. But why it felt truer for me when looking at the opposition was that there was this category of younger leaders who are really driving the change behind that. So transpose that to today, right? And if you were to paint that tomorrow, yeah, Hanifa, what does it look like? Because I think there's that question that a lot of people are asking themselves. What does tomorrow actually look like? And you ask yourself the question. So what does tomorrow look like for Hanifa?
Tomorrow for me, in our current state, we have a very high unemployment rate in this country, youth unemployment rate. For me, tomorrow will be, we have a lot of wasted potential for youths. I wish they will be put into use. I wish youths would thrive in their talent. I wish institutions, which majority are older people who don't understand, I think, what the digital era is about. We have talents, new talents. So tomorrow would look like, for me, youths being utilized in these institutions, and wherever it is, they will thrive. We have graduates, unemployed graduates, and I swear I don't know how best to explain this. But if you take a look at these demographic statistics and what it is people have studied for, and why they're still unemployed up to now, if we had a very working state, we would have each and every one of us, utilizing their talents. This older generation, I'm so sorry, I'm not trying to bring ageism or stereotype them, but we are in the digital era. I think we have a lot of potential we are wasting with the youths and their talent that they're capable of doing. Last year showed us that. I don't know, but it was 80% digital. It worked 80% because of the digital era.
Digital organizing.
Yes. So tomorrow for me would be institutions being replaced by new talents. And kama umefika age ya kuretire, go home, please. We can't be out here locked outside.
Yeah.
Whether it's politically, economically, we are locked. Youths are locked outside. They're gatekeeping opportunities.
Yeah.
They're gatekeeping literally everything. They're stealing our dreams.
Yeah.
We're just outside, hopelessly watching them do all of this. We're just watching. Tumefungiwa. It's like we're in behind bars, watching these people steal billions every day. We are watching them steal our future. Tomorrow for me would be youths thriving everywhere with their talent. New talents getting in. I know it's hard. You can't counter unemployment 100%, but it cannot be this bad. Year after year, every single day, we have new graduates. Graduation ceremonies are not even ceremonious anymore. Who is happy they're graduating? No one. No one is even happy graduating, because where are you going? What are you going to do?
Yeah, I think Darius Sokola in his book about the protest, The Anatomy of an Evolving Riot, right, talks about how even the parents who have put their children through school are looking at the promise that is ahead and wondering what's going to happen for my children. Their children are looking at them and wondering, why is it that my mom and dad have taken so much shit, like, excuse my French, right? From a system that doesn't seem to respect them. And so your point is well made. I think there's a lot of, in a sense, at least here, I'd say you would be preaching to the choir. But to those people who have a lot of respect for Francis Atwoli, why did you pick him specifically?
He's the perfect example, by the way, let me tell you. I'm not even, Atwoli's age is a big factor as to why he should go, but Kotu as a whole, you see. So his age is a big factor. I will not lie. You can't be 75 and still want to run again. You see, there are new ideas. This is a new era. From the soul. Yeah. It's a new era. There's nothing a 75-year-old is understood. Let me not go there. So I picked Atwoli, like I liked what you said. It was just 2 paragraphs of him and Kotu. He's the perfect example. He's been at the helm of such a powerful institution for 24 years. 24 years. How are you not even tired? You see, he's been there and no tangible changes have been seen. For serious union around the world, as you're saying, I don't know. I hope you understand how powerful unions are such powerhouse, especially politically. I chose Atwoli because just the other day he admitted that he is working for the government. Kotu is for the state, and that is not the first time. Atwoli has been openly aligned with different regimes for years, openly. That goes against what Kotu should represent or the unions, because you cannot cozy up to the political elites and still fight for the poor working class.
True.
They
you
cannot
look
go
at
hand in
someone
hand.
like one of his predecessors, Dennis Akumu, and you really, like, Dennis Akumu must be turning in his grave. Looking at some of the things that have happened under the stewardship, not just of Atwoli specifically, but in what unionizing and organizing has been like, for Kenya. And you're right. And I think this is why your article has touched such a raw nerve, because unions aren't just employees looking for their rights. They are a political constituency. And a political constituency that he himself was saying 4 million people. Those are very many people to have a very important interest in the country.
Today we're going to have a discussion. The continuous voter registration process announced 2 weeks ago by the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission. In Larry Mado, in typical Larry fashion, petty, he records a video over the weekend and posts it.
Yeah.
And it shows an MP driving on the wrong side of the road.
Of course, it's an MP driving on the wrong side of... Who else would it be? Okay, matatu drivers, I'm sorry. I was underestimating their design. The driver goes taka. The MP is like Pelekea Ruto. Oh yeah, Senator Kibwana wrote a whole paragraph. It's like, you guys don't know how hard it is to be an MP. I'm like, shut up. Like, if it's hard, take a break.
It's not a favor.
Quit. Yeah, you can quiet quit like a true... leader.
That's a big word to use on them, but okay.
Yeah, we need to have a better road culture than what we have right now.
100%, and it's not only two MPs, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's everyone, including matatus.
Yeah.
I cheer when a matatu goes on the wrong side as long as it gets me in the right.
I have gotten off a matatu because the driver was doing reckless stuff.
That's not true.
True.
That's not true.
True.
It's
true.
Nah.
I have, okay. You don't know my life, first of all.
Yeah.
Yes, muendeshe pole pole.
Pole pole kutoka nje.
Yeah,
after under your breath.
Yes, after I've gone to safety then.
I assure you right now, there's an MP overlapping somewhere.
That's true.
And nothing is happening.
You can just close your eyes and it's like several MPs overlapping.
Like multiverses, all of them just going on the wrong side. Continuous voter registration, it's been happening over the past 2 weeks, and we harped on and on about it in the public participation session.
Manze registered to vote.
Manze.
Historically, Kenyan elections are whoever's got the influence gets to get the office that they want. They end up losing the election, and then 2 years down the line, they're in government.
They're with the government.
And it's a handshake, and we're being told, this is for unity, and this is for you, and for the prosperity of this. And I'm like, where are the people who voted for him in this conversation?
When you go to the voter registration center, the IBC
what happened to you? What maybe just get it out of your system. Maybe
now that you've mentioned it, Justine. So last week, I think it was a strict Thursday or Friday, could be wrong, one of those 2 days.
Yes.
Anyway, I wake up and I'm completely uninspired. I don't know if this is depression creeping, by the way.
Tom, do you need a therapist? I feel like we're going through this the wrong way.
But
instead of getting a therapist, you went to?
I went to a voter registration center, imagine. At least I'm getting something changed, Justine.
You're a great citizen.
I kid you not, that's the only constituency IBC registration center, and there's one person manning that desk.
Like inside the whole...
Inside the whole center, there's one person in one small office. And by a small office, I mean, I can take, with my very long legs, 3 steps from one end to the other end of the office. But that's besides the point.
They're registering people in a bed seater.
I'm telling you.
My process of trying to even figure out where I'm supposed to get the information so that I can actually go registered was a whole different ballgame. So the first thing I do, if you're someone with some access to the internet, the first thing is like you Google. So when I look up the place, I'm like,
where is this place?
GOK loves photo ops. Me, I'll not fault you if you like being photographed everywhere you go. By the way, collect your album, save it, like I used to work here. It's a good thing. But at the same time, that's not what people are looking out. They said,
that's
they said you have to be of sound mind.
How would they know?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe
But-
they have a metric. Maybe is it in the like when they scan your iris and earlobes?
They can tell if you have any substance in your
Yeah,
head.
they're like,
Cook me for that, but
no,
please
me I'll not
continue,
cook you,
Justine.
but just know, Tom's journalism is more important than
That who's
helping the
president?
country.
No,
Yeah,
man,
that's
it's a lie I told myself at that time. That's
maybe
not true.
No, that's
You did
that's
have
my
choices,
truth.
Justine. You didn't
No,
have two
that's-
candidates on that ballot paper.
You're placing that on me.
You call activism? That's not true. This was our one opportunity to give our vote to Ruben Kigame or Mwaura, who remotely aligned with what we believed in.
This story is about seeds.
Seed means life. Seed means livelihood. Seed means our culture.
Naweka mbili.
Kuwekea watu sheria wakati wananunua mbegu si vizuri.
So when it was revised in 2012, it included certain punitive aspects.
Lakini mimi mkulima niko na hizo zote na serikali imenifunga mikono.
You have to borrow a loan so that you can plant maize because it's very expensive because of inputs.
Kupata hii mbegu ni shinda kwangu.
If an old grandmother from Mashinani wants to access these services, like the Kenya seeds, you would imagine a shosho would not really access where these stores are.
Kilimo mimi nafanya kwa sababu ya chakula.
Siwezi kumbuka kama tulinunua mbegu kwa watu. I mean kwa any shop.
You see from regulations down to the bills and then to the regulation, the threats. It's nonsense.
In light of now what these reports are saying, do you have any regrets?
Hello and welcome to this episode of The Big Picture. This is where depth meets humor. I'm your lead co-host of the day. My name is Tom Ukwana, and as always, I do it with
Justine Wanda. Hi everyone.
Justine Wanda. Wamepan Pia. It's like they've been doing this for 4 weeks now, so they get the drill. Recently did a story titled Seed Syndicate, right? I'm going to ask a question that is very, I don't know how you'll take this, but I appreciate being direct. The question everyone will want to ask is, what was President Ruto's role in this?
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
That is the only thing I can
No, but seriously, Justine.
I think one of the things that's really throwing me off is, first of all, we're just seeing like a commitment to zero public participation. Like you can just throw, it's just like an inbred thing that the person leading this administration keeps doing. It's like, why do you want to know? Like, can't you trust us? And I'm like, no. Like, see, you want a drought-resistant crop.
Help you.
Yeah, like exactly. Tunawasaidia mbona mnakataa?
You made a point about need to have extension officers on the ground to help train farmers and all that. And my mom was like, are they still there? Do they still exist? Because they don't even go there. If you want to get an extension officer, you have to go to the county office. You have to pay for their transport and all that. So the problem is
to pay for their transport.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't do that, they don't come.
You see when you call them to something.
Yes, exactly.
It's like
Kenya Police.
Okay.
Unaenda kwa shop unanunua nyanya 30 bob. And then you come and sit down and complain. No, it's because you're allowing the government to have these punitive policies that are taking money out of the country instead of putting money on the farmers' hands.
So most of us here have shags. There's a place you go to in December.
Yeah.
And just you should be happy because a lot of drama comes with that. But most of us have a place you go to in December, and it's usually in the countryside where people plant. Your grandmother plants the food she eats.
When you go home in December, will not come back to Nairobi with anything. So that is what it suggests a farmer to. And if you do not have children who can support you or an income, then most of the times you find now farmers going back to the shops to buy food, which is unfair.
Which is unfair.
Yeah.
Farmers themselves have to buy food. What does this even mean for our agricultural future? To my crows. Okay, so it's not dear to my heart, but I think it's important. So apparently the hotel staff in coast hotels are really fighting with crows. Like there's so many crows in a lot of the coast hotels. Like they have ballooned in number.
That's a true story.
It is. Even I was like, this is my story for the week. It's very important. So Kenyan crows are currently terrorizing terrorists who are eating outside of these hotels. And the crows are foodies, I think. And they are very good at appreciating what the chefs have done. And they're building a feeding program for themselves, which has made them multiply in number. And they're now everywhere. And at some point, I think it was estimated that there's 90,000 crows just like around the hotels.
Oh.
90,000 is a lot.
That's a lot of crows.
Yeah, but I feel like the food is already outside. I feel maybe if the the crows were able to pay, maybe the hoteliers will not be so mad. But according to the hoteliers, like the crows are very much brokey freeloaders, and they cannot support them in their feeding program. So they want all of them gone, or at least their populations completely removed. So the hoteliers and KWS have a joint elimination operation program to end all these crows, and it has a title. The crows, it's called Crows No More. That's the title of the elimination project. I think they could have consulted me for a few names. I think we could have gone with Kilbeak,
that's fine.
Cromia River, Kunguru de la Muerto, which is my favorite. I think we need to lean into some languages. So in case you're curious about how much this operation costs, it costs about 10 million to all the crows, where 10 million is being spent to end you as part of the drone kingdom and other animals in the bird species. I really hope the food you enjoyed was worth it, because they're coming for you. And if in case you guys come back to attack us, remember who told your story. It was
even because they're smart. They can do a whole revolution.
Exactly. Crows can even talk.
Yeah.
They're kind of scary like that. So we have done your story, so you get to protect me when the evolution comes.
In Kenya, someone is always watching.
I think we are all being watched. If they need boo, they'll still get me.
Kenya has seen an increase in abductions, disappearances, arrests, and killings.
Now to a top story. Concern is mounting over the discovery of dead bodies of missing persons in the wake of increasing cases of abduction in the country.
Last year, after people booking to Parliament, there was a lot of death and element of sadness and the realization that it could have been any one of us.
State surveillance is a complex task with far-reaching implications. Its actors are agents working in the shadows, drawn from the intelligence service or the police, but working in secret.
In the intelligence world, mobile phone is vulnerable to ubiquitous surveillance.
We ask the question, what does the state do when nobody's watching?
Hello and welcome to this episode of The Big Picture. Big Picture, where depth meets humor. This is a particularly special episode because you have heavy hitters joining Justine and I. But before I continue, my name is Tom Mukwana. I'm your lead host today. And my co-host is the ever funny
Justine Wenda.
Justine, as always, gracing your screens. But we are not doing this alone. This is not one of those episodes where Justine and I just chat for an hour. On this episode, we're joined by heavy hitters. Gentlemen, I can't believe that.
Well, I'm a newbie.
No, I think you hosted The Big Picture, Iroko.
In another life.
During the elections in 2022?
You know, you may be right. Was that 2022?
Yeah.
That's like 2 generations ago. How would we remember such a thing?
You should. It's just 3 years ago. No? It's just 3 years ago. But Irungu Houghton.
Right.
Yes, I am right, Irungu. I remember.
Yeah. Your memory is better than mine.
Obviously.
Keep it.
Irungu Houghton has advised and held national governments. Alphonse Shiundu. He's an award-winning writer, journalist, editor, and he currently is the country editor for Africa's leading fact-checking organization, Africa Check.
With a light touch, if people are really worried about, being surveilled using their smartphones, I can give them a model of a phone, and I'm not being paid on, African Uncensored to say this, but, our grandparents used to have a phone called Nokia 3310. It was great. No apps, no data, no surveillance, just good vibes. You could just call each other and make appointments. And I think it's important that, people recognize that the more power we get from these devices, from these gadgets, the more people want to control us. Actually, Bob said a freezer. Between the two of them, I think they need to reconcile their story.
Who it is.
But I would go with Bob's story because he was there.
He experienced it. He was the one being stuck in the freezer. So, he said I put them in a fridge in an interview. And I remember seeing people clapping. And every time I go on the internet, and there's a video, for instance, I have thankfully have not seen it in the documentary that we just published, but every time somebody's arrested, for instance, Rose, or the filmmakers are arrested, or God forbid, Justine is arrested tomorrow, God forbid, a huge God forbid.
God will bring the rap down.
Definitely forbid that.
I have to say that. Plus amnesty.
Yeah, I would probably not survive. It'll have been nice knowing you all. Yeah.
let me create that moment, that scary moment. Justine will go into a cell somewhere.
Yeah.
And before long, within 15 seconds, people will be just laughing.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, she will probably be spirited out for dinner and then taken back for the evening show.
Yeah.
You know, and as you run out of jokes, that's the point at which they will release you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrifying.
See that? You've got lots of jokes.
No, like running out of jokes is terrifying.
Not them getting.
That's a whole.
Like they'll be there like, tell us a joke, and all of them are going.
Like, oh, you told us on that program. Yeah.
Sometimes like confuse the person who's stalking you, because like if you're looking at something and then you scroll over it or like you send it, I think it can record all these kinds of points. So like maybe putting your phone down can help you escape, especially if you're not like completely tied to your phone and like your work doesn't depend on it. Living your life outside of it and having meetings like it's 1964, I think like it would probably help you escape the like data point following that is happening to you. But honestly, I don't know what that does to me. Like sometimes I don't feel like there's an end in sight for how we get out of it. It's like for you to be able to get out of the machine, you have to understand how the machine works.
Because Shad did exactly that.
Yeah.
They were meeting.
Yes.
They were not on an app talking.
Yes. Because then it's a data point. It's like you sent a message, someone can access it through a backdoor app or whatever, and then now that's how they get you. That's how they figure out what you're saying, who you're talking to, who it doesn't matter whether the things that you're doing are good intentioned. That's not the story. Because if it feels like a threat to whatever system is trying to be protected, then you become a target.
You become a target
Yeah.
automatically for doing that.
Number one, yes, they will still track you, but with the 3310 that has been offered.
The Nokia phone. This is not a Nokia ad. Yeah, with that.
Get closed down, but anyway, that's
Okay, so the limited numbers with Nokia 3310.
You'll really have to do Conriver Road for that one.
Yeah. So with the 3310, there are things that you will not give away easily.
Enough said about that. Get your Nokia, guys. Make sure you get your Nokia and don't click consent, right?
Yeah.
You think something.
You're buying 3 items and then you have to do like an economic prayer at the counter that your M-Pesa balance will be able to hold. It's, to me, it's a zero. Honestly, don't even jump.
Zero going down. It's lost on our
No, I was just like, what? I was just gonna say like fire a bunch of people.
Fire everybody and then
I was just gonna like, we actually just need to like do no police for a year and just see where this goes. Just like let us vibe, let's no. But like it would be, I do understand that, but yeah, like what do we look like without like heavy over surveillance policing?
For sure.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to this episode of The Big Picture. Big Picture, Big Conversations. My name is Tom Juana. I'm one of the 3 co-hosts that are usually sat on this bench today. But John Allen and Justine Wanda have somehow decided to abandon me today. But worry not, I'm not doing it alone today. I'm joined by an incredible guest. Probably someone who has the biggest, or should I say the most gut-wrenching story in the country right now. This is a show about a lot of things. It's a show about system injustices that are aided by a system, injustices across the country and also to the youngest and most brittle people in this society, young girls and also young men in the streets who are murdered by police. The main person in this conversation is going to be Christine Mungai. She's the editor at The Continent, and she's going to tell us more about herself and most importantly, her story, the teacher and the system.
The story is it's a 4-year investigation that I carried out into a pattern of abuse, a long-standing pattern, let me put it that way, centered at the school that I went to, my own alma mater, Alliance Girls High School. And I essentially dug into many testimonies and many stories of what appeared to be a very consistent and consistent pattern with one of the long-standing teachers there. So I would say that from what I uncovered is that various people tried to do something over the years, but no one really got traction. And that's what I try and explain in the piece, how institutions failed in this case and really failed to protect the children. The reason why she wanted this story out is just for the simple reason so that other girls don't have to go through this. I'm hoping that this time round, institutions will act.
Yeah.
Maybe under the pressure of how big the story is right now in the public consciousness. In 2018, 2019, a group of old girls attempted to create a Big Sisters Club in the school to basically sensitize the current students at that time about boundaries, about healthy relationships and all that. But their initiative, I would say, largely failed.
Why?
And because of, I would say, resistance.
Within the institution itself.
Yes.
Okay.
You can't do that if you don't have the kind of spiritual fortitude that can get you up there and figure out what the hell is going on.
It's a spiritual battle. Let's fight it spiritually, because it takes just going to church and praying and
or let these girls find their healing. That kind of thing.
Yes.
Which is okay.
It's okay in itself.
Fine.
Yes, but it keeps this thing happening because it's this individual who's preying on these teenagers that you're healing at that time is still doing the same thing to more people. It's in
There'll
essence
be more
exactly what you're
teenagers
saying.
next year.
There are more bodies down the river tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think we didn't do what we ought to have done as a community. He was given the bare minimum for a person of his stature. But if it was left for the customary kind of a burial, then it should have been very elaborate. But Raila Odinga, being what is referred to as the Agwambo, or the mysterious one, had his own plans and his own ways. So he made life very difficult for some of us. But truthfully, by today, Raila Odinga shouldn't have been buried if we needed to be very elaborate about the customary procedures. But the little he was given, we are happy about it, but we could have given him more.
There's this sort of perception of there's what is modern and there's what is, cultural, as if what's cultural is not modern. These are all things being done in the modern age. So it is modern by definition.
That's true.
So we shouldn't really sort of try and see it as an attempt to reach back into the past. The past is gone. It is what we are doing today. So it's not a choice in between this and the other. Now, I agree with you that there is sort of a formal aspect of it because it's a state funeral. There's also a westernized sort of aspect to it, other people aspire to, which is fine. They can choose to adopt that. It doesn't mean that they are less modern when they don't. It's just various ways of being modern, and I think we should be comfortable with that.
What we have today is politics of convenience. It is circumstantial positioning, depending on which side of the bread is battered, or who batters my bread. But Raila Odinga's kind of politics was basically principled. He stood for specific ideals. He fought for those ideals. He disagreed with his colleagues amicably, but Raila would go for what he believes in is right and serves the people. 9% of people who fought for Raila Odinga didn't know him in person.
Right. That's true. It's hard to know our politicians in person anyway. But I think I have to be careful to temper this this picture of Raila as painted, as constantly principled, as constantly popular. He was in a sense quite a polarizing figure. You speak about your family, and in my family, he was almost seen as the devil. In many cases, and so there was this sort of, I think, push and pull about him. And it was a lot of it wasn't about, I think, him personally, although there's a lot of people who are kind of like suspicious of his ability, his charm, his charisma, his ability to mobilize. I think that for a lot of people that was kind of quite scary, But I also think that he was captured, or he was part of a politics that was very, from the start, both ethnically tinged. So already he was fixed within our political firmament as a Luo politician, as opposed as a national one, and in the minds of many people, or I would say many Kikuyus, for example, they would see him primarily, as a carrier of Luo. And when he said Kibaki Tosha, they were all very happy with him, And then when you post Kibaki, for example, in the referendum, etc., he became the devil, in 2007, the same. So it was really, the image of him was really, I think, held hostage by how our politics was played out on the ethnic base of that politics.
We are to blame because we always say, but Gadara, you have to agree with me. It is a Kenyan problem. In everything we do, we always wait till the last minute. Whether it is registering for vote, whether it is the case.
That's a very unfair assumption.
No, this is what I'm saying. That
it's not an assumption.
This is the problem that I'm pointing to. And I've been saying this from the start, that how we exercise our sovereignty is not what is regulated by the Constitution. The Constitution is how the people we delegate to exercise it. Yes. It's how the state exercises it. We are sovereign, and at whatever point we choose to engage, our engagement matters, at that point. I think that in the case of, I agree with you, people should constantly be vigilant.
That is the fact.
But I would reverse the burden. I would say it is not for us to seek to put our views to the state. It is the state to seek to get our views. The way our laws are written, so for example, public participation, there is no measure of, whereas when we write our law, when they do public participation, they'll come back and say, these are the views we got and this is how they are reflected in our rule. We give them views, they decide
whether to take it or not.
They have complete discretion. And all they have to do is do the ritual of, people turned up at this place.
Yes. Now,
public participation for me, and that's what I'm saying, that people are participating constantly. When they sit on Twitter and have an argument, they are participating. It is the job of government to go and hoover that up. And not only in this small window, but constantly seeking to find out, because if it is governance by consent, not by coercion, then it should be up to them to constantly figure out, do people consent? Do they consent to this? So when you're passing a law in parliament and people are fighting it outside and you're shooting them, clearly you are not.
The laws we are talking about now, Gadara, let's contextualize our discussion. The laws we are talking about now, nobody fought over them.
Sorry, I want to thank George for joining us. I want to thank Gathara for joining us, and for my co-host, Tom. And for me, Justin Wanda, will say good night.